A very beautiful family, isn't it? Well, the man in the middle is Timini, and on the left hand side is his wife, Sade. The young boy on the right hand side is his son. He's a very wealthy man, loved by his maid, workers, and everybody that comes in contact with him. But that's not how the story started. Let me take you back to the beginning.
You're hearing the sounds of Tales FM, checking in real quick for the cable. And through the show, we'll be talking about life, relationship, how it makes us, and how it breaks us. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy going through life, trying to hustle on your own, meeting new people. And when you live in a city like we do, Lagos, a cool for short, it can get really hard and get really messy. But all you have to do is to keep the faith, hold on, and trust that in the end, everything is gonna be alright.
This is Timini, a boy who arrived in Lagos, Nigeria, with nothing but hope in his chest and dust on his shoes. No connection, no money, no influential surname, no one waiting for him at the bus stop. Just a stubborn dream that refused to die, and a girl who believed in him before the world ever saw his work. Timini arrived in Lagos on a cloudy morning. The sky was grey, heavy, uncertain, like it knew what laid ahead. The bus jerked to a stop at Ojota. Doors flew open. Passengers poured, already arguing with conductors, already late for something important. Timini stepped down last. He stood still for a moment, gripping his small bag, as Lagos moved around him without apology. Danfo buses screamed like wounded animals. Conductors shouted destination in rapid fire. Hawkers shoved sachet pure water, bread, and granite towards strangers who didn't slow down. Everyone looked busy. Everyone looked sure for themselves except him. His bag was small. His pocket was lighter. Inside the pocket was 2,300 naira, carefully folded, already feeling too little. Inside his bag were two shirts, one pair of trousers, a worn notebook, and a pen that barely worked. That notebook carried his dreams. Everything else was survival. By afternoon, the excitement of arrival has faded. By evening, fear crept in. Where would he sleep? What would he eat? Who would even notice if he disappeared? That first night, Timini slept on a thin mat inside a mechanic's shed. The smell of oil clung on his clothes. Mosquitoes sang in his ear like reminders of his vulnerability. Every passing car sounded like a warning. He stared into darkness, replaying his journey to Lagos, asking himself questions he was afraid to answer. Was this courage or madness? He had just ruined his life chasing a dream too big for him. For the first time, going back home felt tempting. But when morning came, Timini stood up. Days blurred into weeks. Lagos showed him its true face. He carried loads at my 12 until his arms trembled. He ran errands for people who treated him like air. He stood under the sun for hours, begging politely for jobs that never came. Some days, he earned just enough to eat once. Other days, hunger followed him like a shadow. He was insulted, shortchanged, told to wait, and then forgotten. There were moments where he watched others succeed and wondered what he was missing. There were afternoons when the sun burned so hot it felt personal. More than once, Timini whispered to himself, "Is this how dreams die?" But every night, when Lagos finally slowed down, Timini opened his notebook. He wrote even when his hands were tired. He wrote even when his stomach was empty. Business idea, plan, questions about logistics, transport, and opportunity. Even when life gave him nothing, Timini kept planning for everything. One evening, exhausted and defeated, Timini sat at a roadside food joint. The smell of rice and stew wrapped around him like torture. He kept checking his phone, pretending to be busy, because pretending was cheaper than ordering food he could not afford. That was when Sade noticed him. She noticed the way he avoided eye contact with the vendor, the way he swallowed hard when food was served to others, the way hungry sat quietly on his face. She offered him food, not with pity, not with superiority, just kindness. Timini hesitated. Pride fought hunger. hunger one. Sade worked at the shop assistant during the day and studied part-time at night. She wasn't rich. She didn't pretend to have life figured out, but she was calm, focused, and grounded. When Timini told her his story, he expected laughter, advice, or silence. Instead, she listened. And when he finished, she said, "Lagos is hard, but it rewards persistence." That sentence followed him for days. From then on, Sade became nothing rare in Lagos. She didn't rescue Timini, she didn't hand him money, she gave him direction. She helped him rewrite his CV word by word. She showed him where to apply for entry level jobs. She taught him how to speak with confidence even when he felt invincible. When rejection messages came, she didn't lie to him. She reminded him why he left home. Sometimes she talked, sometimes she just listened, and sometimes belief is louder than help. Slowly, Lagos began to respond. Timini got a small job assisting at a logistics startup. It wasn't glamorous, the pay barely covered transport and food, but Timini treated it like it was gold. He arrived early, stayed late, asked questions others ignored. He learned customers handling, operation, money flow. He watched how mistakes were made and how to avoid them. While others complained, Timini studied. While others waited for instruction, Timini prepared. Within 2 years, people noticed. He was promoted, then trusted, then relied on. Eventually, Timini made a bold decision. He started his own small logistics service with borrowed equipment, borrowed trust, and borrowed courage. Sade helped him keep record, manage finances, and stay disciplined. They weren't dating, they were building something fragile and real. Growth wasn't smooth. Vehicles broke down, client delayed payment. Some nights were still stressful. By this time, Timini wasn't alone. Success crept in quietly, then arrived loudly. More clients came, more vehicles followed, more staff joined. The boy who once slept in a mechanic's shade now sat in an office with his name on the door. And the girl who believed in him when he has nothing was still there. Timini didn't propose with diamonds and drama. He proposed with honesty and gratitude. They married quietly, no noise, no pressure, just two people who survived Lagos together. Years later, Timini became a name people respected. He employed people who reminded him of himself. He helped newcomers understood Lagos, not the fantasy, but the truth. And whenever someone asked him for the secret of his success, he said, "I came with nothing. I worked with everything I had, and I did not walk alone." Because sometimes success isn't about speed, it isn't about luck, it is about resilience, it's about persistence, and it's about the people who believe in you when you had nothing. If you are watching this while struggling, remember Timini's story. Lagos doesn't reward speed, it rewards those who refuses to give up. It does not welcome you gently. It doesn't ask you where you came from. It doesn't care what you dreamed about as a child. It doesn't pause because you are scared. Lagos moves. If you are not ready, it drags you along until you either learn or stand, or you fall behind. It tests you, it stretches you, it strips you down to who you really are. And if you can survive, it changes you forever. Now, this is not a fictional story, it is a true life story. Timini sent it to us for us to make his story visual so that the world can see it and learn from it. If you want something like this to be done to your story so that the world can hear you, send us images by the email on our description and we will get back to you. And in the meanwhile, if you like this story and you want us to create stuffs like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share, like, and leave a comment. We will see you on the next video.